Okay, so I compared the numbers. Specifically, I did an apples to apples comparison of the numbers, what would happen with the Allianz policy and what would happen if there would be a transfer of the assets from the Allianz policy and start the Pacific Life policy. So, bottom line, the Allianz policy would lapse without additional funding, which is actually what the objective is. No additional out of pocket. The policy would lapse at Anna's age of about 78, after taking about $170,000 of policy loans as retirement income, and that would be it. So not a good situation. Whereas in case of the Pacific Life policy, with no additional funding, with just transfer of the assets of the Allianz policy, with no additional out of pocket, but the use of the Pacific Life policy in place of a bank account for the amount of premium, which means that money is saved in the policy for a certain amount of time and then withdrawn for expenses and then put back in. So it's actually, there's no additional out of pocket. It's a system, it's called privatized banking, which I'll explain in more detail later. But again, it would require no additional out of pocket, so no additional money funding going to the policy and stay there. So the reason why that is possible is because Pacific Life has certain parameters that are beneficial for this type of use, and one of them is there is a lower interest rate on policy loans than with Allianz, and there's an option with Pacific Life that can multiply it's called a performance factor, that can multiply the base index return that happens in the policy, which means that there is for the same index return in a particular year, there is an additional percentage that will be added to that credit, which means that there is more, there's a higher potential, there's a higher probability of a higher interest rate, of a higher credit in the Pacific Life policy, plus there's a lower interest rate on the policy loan, which means that there's a higher spread in favor of the policy owner, which is really what we need to create these better, the better income and to keep the policy afloat, for the time of the contract, which is 120 years, which is more than enough. So that is those are the numbers.